Like many of the subjects or many of the things that we wish could remain unsaid, mental illness is difficult to talk about. The stigma alone can send us running.
What a whack job.
She's so intense.
Gone postal.
The wheel's turning, but the hamster's dead.
Screw loose. Now to use the fruitcake. Loopy.
Mad as a hatter. Losing your marbles. Basket case. Lights on, nobody home.
Couple of sandwiches short of a picnic.
Not firing on all cylinders.
Crazy.
This series of portraits does not end with a blazing solution. Its mission, rather, is to remind us that each fugitive moment of compassion is more than a meager flicker of no consequence. It is, in fact, what bears light in our journey. Persistent kindness in the face of unpredictable return, seeking support and authentic interaction, acknowledging all that we are, even when we feel damaged and imperfect. These things are important, whatever the risk, no matter what happens next. And there is no way to predict outcome. And so, we realize that life is fraught with pain that we're left to make sense of. And the 1,000 miles of healing begins with forgiveness, and sometimes the first step is to forgive ourselves. Tumble with the yin and yang of it. Pick up the torch again. Our stories tonight will focus on mood disorder, and to understand that in the full spectrum of mental illness, we want to begin with a few definitions.
Hello and welcome. Please step on the elevator and I will evaluate how we can help you.
Excuse me.
Welcome. Please keep your hands and arms inside the elevator at all times until we have come to a complete stop. Here in the building of mental health, it is my job to elevate you to where you need to be. So if you're hoping to reach the top floor for jumping purposes, this elevator doesn't go that far.
But I really don't think I need to be here.
Each floor is dedicated to the study and treatment of a particular mental illness. As you know, no one's illness is quite like another's.
But I'm not ill. Sorry, I'm not even sure I'm supposed to be here, but a strong recommendation from a... Never mind. I'm sure there's nothing wrong with me.
Right. It's all right. I'm sure there's really nothing wrong with you, but you did come here for a reason, and it's my job to identify how we can best help you.
I really don't think that there's any way.
Ding! Here we are at the first floor. This floor is dedicated to schizophrenia. Those who suffer from this disease may be under the delusions that other people are secretly plotting against them, or that they have the ability to control other people's minds. Hallucinations may cause these people to see things that are not there. Does this sound like what you are experiencing?
No, not at all.
Going up!
Wait, will they be all right?
Oh, yes. Although there is no cure for these individuals, we can treat them successfully with antipsychotic medication. Ding! Here we are at the second floor, dedicated to OCD.
OCD.
Obsessive compulsive disorder. Obsessions are intrusive, irrational thoughts. One man was so certain that the coffee at his workplace was being poisoned that he remade the coffee 5 times per day, pouring most of it down the drain. We work successfully with clients with the help of behavioral therapy and medication. Compulsions are repetitive rituals such as hand washing, counting, checking, hoarding, arranging. Do you save every scrap of paper, milk carton, and bubble wrap?
No, that's not me at all.
Going up!
Look, I really don't think I'm going to fit in here. I'm just a little down every now and then.
According to this, you called into work a total 4 weeks last year because you were overwhelmingly sad? Overwhelmingly?
Where did you get that?
Ding! Here we are at eating disorders, anorexia nervosa, and bulimia. Do you purge yourself after eating?
No, I don't.
Well then, up we go. Ding! Floor 4, Tourette syndrome. Do you have uncontrollable vocal outbursts and nervous facial tics?
No.
Floor 5, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Do you dislike engaging in sustained mental activities? Are you inattentive to details, easily forgetful?
No.
Can you sit still?
Yes, that's not me at all.
Ding! Floor 6, panic. Do you go into a panic in normal, everyday situations? Hot flashes, cold sweats, feeling lost, feeling like you're going to die?
No. I didn't realize there were so many different...
Floors? Yes. Mental illness is much more complex than most people realize. Ding! Here we are at the top floor. The penthouse is dedicated to the treatment of mood disorders, bipolar, major depression, and combinations of all kinds.
Honestly, I don't think I'm diseased. I'm sure I'm not ill.
Do you have periods of time when you are talking more and at a faster pace? Do you make ambitious, often grandiose plans? Increased sexual interest in activity and a decreased need for sleep?
Maybe.
On the other hand, almost like a crash. Do you have periods of time when you are feeling less energetic and, more anxiety? Perhaps a sense of overwhelming sadness?
Sometimes.
Less interest and participation and enjoyment in activities normally enjoyed? Less interest in sexual activity? Feeling hopeless, helpless, guilty, worthless, pessimistic, and suicidal? Eating and sleeping more or less than usual?
Okay. Yeah. So I'm ill.
Well, it's time to take a look at what's going on. You did the right thing coming here. Perhaps someone even told you to just get over it. My guess is you probably said that to yourself, but it just isn't that easy. Why don't you go ahead and go on in? It's the first door on your right.
Sure, I guess it wouldn't hurt to talk to somebody.
You're right. Going down. Ding! Hello and welcome. Please step on the elevator and I will evaluate how we can help you.
Okay, but I don't think I really need to be here.
Please keep your hands and arms inside the elevator at all times until we have come to a complete stop.
I am strong. I am able to fight this good fight of faith. Where did that come from? I'm sad. So sad that I'm numb. My future, what about it? This dark place, covering me in a blanket of despair. Either I let life down, or life let me down. Either way, I'm an embarrassment. In this dark place, I hear the same voice.
You used to be somebody.
Now, you're invisible.
I get up, and all I can think about is going back to bed. Oh, hours of mindless TV, comfort food, and cigarettes. Yes, I am smoking again. I confess.
You used to be somebody.
Now, you're a failure.
My soul aches. Yet I don't feel like God is with me anymore.
Who wants a loser?
TV. Get lost in TV. Oh, pretty people living the good life. And then the commercial comes on. The newest drug.
Depression hurts, not just emotionally, but physically.
Newsflash, and not just me.
Those closest to you, everyone around you, family, friends.
Fabulous. Guilt on top of guilt.
Cymbalta.
Ooh, sounds like a luxury car. Cymbalta, with rich Corinthian leather.
A mixture of serotonin and norepinephrine.
Oh, works on pain and brain function. What a deal! Antidepressants. I've tried them all.
Amphetamine,
Dexedrine.
Stelazine,
Thorazine.
Valium.
Haldol,
Adderall.
Nardil,
Proxil.
Prozac.
Risperdal,
Lexapro.
Ritalin,
Clonopin.
Zoloft.
Adipin,
Sinequin.
Trazon,
Remeron.
Wellbutrin.
Oh, happy day. And the side effects?
May include headaches. You may even feel so numb you don't care about anything or anybody. Some patients have reported a desire to jump out of their own skins. Results may vary.
I have what they call chronic depression and generalized anxiety disorder with a splash of PTSD. This is me now. A long definition. How did I come to be this person? Was it from a childhood dysfunction? From losing everything I owned? The deaths of my brother, my sister, my husband? Was it due to these circumstances? Or was it organic? Is it
Just sad? So sad. Covered in sadness.
If all those drugs don't work, perhaps there's self-medication. I got drugs to take me up and take me down, red and green and white and brown. Make me a puppet, make me a clown, spin me left and right and all around. I wish this merry-go-round could end. It's getting too hard to pretend, locked in a room without a friend. I have found a way to mend. I medicate with a pill or two, a little more smoke and a lot more booze. I guess this is the life I choose. I got those self-medication blues. Ah, ooh, ah, ooh. I know what Lennon meant when he said, I'm so tired, can't get out of bed. All these voices in my head tell me I'd be better off dead. There's a battle raging deep inside. I've got no place to hide. I try to find the courage for suicide. Until then, I take one more ride and medicate with a pill or two. A little more smoke, yes, a lot more booze. Is this the life I choose? I got those self-medication blues. Ah, ooh, ah, ooh. Nicotine, morphine, pot at speed. I'm headed nowhere fast. Sex, money, food, gambling, and TV, but nothing seems to last. Well, meeting friends give their advice. Say what you're doing to yourself. myself, son, it ain't so nice. They help me once, yeah, but they scold me twice. And I'm the one to pay the price. And I tell you, brother, I'm going insane, looking for someone to blame. My secret's killing me with shame, but I know how to play this game. Yeah, I medicate with a pill or two, a little more smoke and a lot more booze. Is this the life I choose? I got those self-medication blues. Ah, ooh, ah, ooh. There must be a way to heal my soul. Loneliness takes a toll. Until I give up my control, I'll never fill up this God-shaped hole. Living hell is the price I pay. I cannot face another day. It's a very dangerous game that I play. But until I find a better way, I'll medicate with a pill or two. All of your smoke and all your booze. This is the life I choose. I got those self-medication blues. Ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh. Those lonely self-medication blues.
My Life on Meds, a memoir. My mother contracted polio when I was 3. She's been in a wheelchair ever since. My father left soon after my mother's prognosis was negative, and my aunt told me that his leaving was due to my habit of sucking my thumb. I don't know if these things set in motion my lifetime of dealing with depression, or if it was these things and a family history dating way back of dark moods. They used to take a drug called Milltown. My mother worked so hard. She really did. She held down 3 jobs, sewed all of the clothes for her 3 daughters, and packed and unpacked numerous times as we moved in and out of apartments in the greater Los Angeles area. You have a wonderful mother who pulled herself up by her bootstraps. How could you do this to your mother? Age 12, don't cry pills. That would be Valium. Just something to smooth over those rough times. A little sleep ease for that sleep disorder. Aspirin. I wanted Dad, a real family. Could somebody please let him know that I've stopped sucking my thumb? Age 13. I took a bottle of pills. I was sent to a sanitarium. Old people. Nat King Cole played in the day room. I had a therapist who wondered aloud, how could you do this to your mother? And put me on Stelazine and Thorazine and sent me to group therapy. Shuffle and share. I learned to knit, to make mosaic ashtrays, and to smoke cigarettes. Then Girl Interrupted meets One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I moved from the sanitarium to the UCLA Hospital Adolescent Wing. The doctor who interviewed me brought a fresh perspective. Why would you want to do this to your mother? I went to school there, and it was better because I was with people my own age. Then one day, they announced that President Kennedy had been shot. A few days later, Lee Harvey Oswald was shot. I thought, we're considered crazy, and this is going on out there? Age 14, I was released and taken off
all meds. At school, I would wear a black scarf and dark glasses. I wasn't exactly the cheerleader type. Why do you keep doing this to your mother? Age 16, I was given Dalmane to help me sleep. We now know that this drug exacerbates depression, which brought me back to the UCLA hospital on suicide watch. Well watched. And I got a new therapist who thought to ask new questions. He was an important advocate in my life for many years. Age 17. We gave lithium a try. You have to monitor this drug very carefully to avoid toxic doses in your bloodstream. I went to USC and I graduated. I went off lithium, feeling okay. The new me, maybe? I was having trouble sleeping, so I got some sleeping pills. One night, I took the whole bottle. It was my final attempt at suicide. There was an epiphany in there somewhere. Then a decision. A pact with myself. Suicide? Not an option. Age 26. My therapist put me on Wellbutrin. Depression is like drowning. Did I mention that? A drowning woman still looking for her father often finds herself in the arms of, oh, let's stay with the metaphor, a lifeguard, temporary lifeguards. Help, save me, I'm lonely. There was the psych tech at UCLA, and then the friend of my mother's who raped me, and later, the dashing man who said he'd leave me for his wife, or leave his wife for me. Then I married someone who even looked a little like my dad. We moved to this beautiful town in the Pacific Northwest and had 2 children together. One day, he left. Zoloft, Prozac, Luvox. You failed, kiddo. You're going to have to live with that. Have a little wine. Have a lot. Develop a taste for the best stuff and call yourself a connoisseur. Age 45. Found God in adversity. Found spiritual community and a glimpse of peace. Dive deep and find light. Age 48. Met a man who also liked fine wine, the New York Times, and theater. He was emotionally unavailable, and there was this other little thing. He prided himself on being comfortable in various settings. An evening at the opera, an afternoon at the crack house. Well, okay, I can do all that. Age 49. Self-medication. A tunnel. A very dark tunnel. Depression's dark angel. Dark. After about 1.5 years of that, I dreamt I was drowning. And I woke up with a gasp. I started going to an outpatient rehab support group. Age 51. Wellbutrin again. Joined a gym. Age 52. Started bicycling. I love the feeling of the wind on my face. Age 54. Stopped drinking wine. Got a new therapist. Count them. 5 therapists in 10 years. This one's a keeper. Age 57. Someone told me recently that I have the sparkle back in my eyes. I know that mental health is more than just balancing medications. It's balancing everything. I still take Wellbutrin. I still see my therapist regularly.
I have a spiritual community that I cherish, family and friends who support me, and I am at my best when I exercise regularly. What's most important in all of this is that I am starting to see myself in a new way. My mother, who is very proud of me, exceeded her limitations. And I, emerging a work in progress, have moved past some of mine.
As we move to the subject of bipolar disorder, let's start with rules for the gracious acceptance of lithium into your life. From The Unquiet Mind by Kay Redfield Jamison.
1. Clear out the medicine cabinet before guests arrive for dinner or new lovers stay the night. 2. Remember to put the lithium back into the medicine cabinet the next day. 3. Don't be too embarrassed about your lack of coordination. Learn to laugh about spilling coffee. 4. Smile when people make jokes about how they think they need to be on lithium. 5. Nod intelligently and with conviction when your physician tells you how lithium will level off the chaos in your life. 6. Wait patiently for this leveling off. Very patiently. Reread the book of Job. Continue waiting. 7. Try not to let the fact that you can't read without effort annoy you. Be philosophical. Even if you could read, you probably wouldn't remember most of it anyway. 8. Accommodate to a certain lack of enthusiasm and bounce you once had. Try not to think about all the wild nights you once had. Probably best not to have had those nights anyway. 9. Keep in perspective how much better you are. Everyone else certainly tells you often enough. Annoyingly enough. That's probably true. 10. Be appreciative. Don't even think about stopping your lithium. And when you do stop, get manic, get depressed, you'll hear from family, friends, and healers, but you were doing so much better. And I told you this would happen. Which brings us to the last rule. 11. Restock your medicine cabinet.
Bipolar disorder is also challenging for adolescents. From Storm Riders by Craig Leslie.
We live in a society that gives lip service to children. Children are our future, that sort of thing. But in reality, children are the most neglected and abused group in the country. People spend more attention with their animals than they do with children. The medical, psychological communities, they have labels to plaster on kids. The labels can be an evasion, a catch-all for things we don't understand. These labels, problems, become so overwhelming that they feel helpless and desperate. They think everyone else is doing fine while they're failing.
This is America with the high-dollar sweets and our children falling asleep to the images of death or hate. street. Gluttony. When we get paid, we feed our addictions. A narcotic travesty. We starve ourselves away. Can go out on those dirty streets to practice the art of promiscuity, to find our sanctity with our sacred graffiti. Yeah. This is the era of loneliness. We cannot escape this. Our technological advances will never replace the touch, the feel, texture of skin relationship, human emotion.
Adolescent mood disorder is an ongoing challenge. In our community, helping to fight this and other psychiatric disorders is a treatment center that has started in 1977. The Southern Oregon Adolescent Study and Treatment Center, called SOASTIC, started with one residential treatment center and now has 2 facilities, a wraparound community service design, and an innovative school-based mental health program. Executive Director Bob Lieberman said what most treatment plans need to focus on when he said, it really is about recovery. It's about helping young people recover the ability to lead quality lives. Research shows that for many young people, if there is a high level of commitment from family, they are able to stay in the home and receive the community of service so desperately needed at that critical time of their lives.
The issue of adolescent onset bipolar disorder has also affected me personally. It has touched a member of my family. This part of my family lives in Colorado, so I see them a couple of times a year. Thank God for email. We keep in touch. They are lovely, supportive people. My niece has always had loving family support. She had good friends, played sports, and did well in school. At about age 12, things started changing in her world. Her mom, dad, and sister talk about life with a bipolar adolescent.
Her event happened very quickly.
Initially, I was just overwhelmed that she had gone from what was so seemingly normal to really horrible behavior to have to deal with. I was fearful for others in the family. I was fearful for her. I remember a night with her chasing my wife around the living room and the kitchen with a knife. I remember a night with her wrapped up in a shower curtain in the bathtub, just whining and hollering. We had no idea what to do.
Although once we had the diagnosis, I can look back and see maybe there were some ADHD or symptoms in the past that I should have maybe given more credence to.
She had one of those just meltdowns in school, just wouldn't let anybody touch her and almost rolled in a ball sort of thing, and that was kind of the last day of school.
At age 13, my niece was on suicide watch at a psychiatric hospital in Denver. She was lonely and angry about being locked up against her will. But it was during that stay she was diagnosed and given medication. A colleague of mine in Grants Pass, Francine Gentile, in addition to teaching psychology at Robe Community College, is a medical health examiner in Josephine County. She makes recommendations to the court about whether or not a person is unable to provide for their own safety and well-being.
People are ambivalent about suicide. They don't necessarily want to be dead, they just want their life to be different. Or they want to go to sleep and wake up and be in a different life. The solution of suicide is long-term, however, and maybe the problem is something that can be changed. So when we did suicide assessments in the crisis unit, and when we placed people on psychiatric holds and commit them to mental hospitals against their will, the main reason for doing that is to keep them safe. Because I guess as helping professionals, we hope that their lives can change, and we believe that their lives can change, and we feel like if we can keep them alive until their life changes, then they can find some hope themselves.
We have tried every medication there is available, and some we've been limited because of her early onset in age, because so many, like lithium, shouldn't be used before the age of 16 as a minimum. So, but there's basically only 5 different medications for the mania and the depression, but you have to try the depression end and then wait until that stabilizes and then try one of the 5 for the mania side and keep playing with that balance. The only problem with compliance has been with weight gain, and all the psychotropics have a side effect of weight gain. In our situation, the depression is underlying and the mania is on top. So we don't experience the depression as such, but just more the mania, the really high racing thoughts and racing speech and irritability and anxiety and anger that is apparent. Especially hers is compounded with being an adolescent and hormonal implications in with that to get it stabilized. And there's not a book out there that leads you in the right direction, and that it takes a lot of internet, books at the library, talking to research organizations like the Bipolar Child group, psychiatrists, and just keep searching, because there is some help out there. There's research is being done, it's fairly new, and a lot of herbal things on the horizon as well.
I do feel that she is better. I am not as fearful about her taking her own life, and I am not as fearful about her doing physical harm to other family members or to property. By no means have those fears been removed. They are not at the forefront anymore.
We as a family have learned so much to minimize and not escalate behavior. It's draining if you allow it to be, but I try to keep that in perspective as well, to not work harder than she does.
Ask for help. Don't be bashful about asking for help. Notify the police of the situation so that they understand what they're coming into before the crisis phone calls.
What is it like for my younger niece? What is the effect of this illness for her?
It's an upside down world. When she's mean, it's down early. When she's upstairs, I go downstairs. When she's downstairs, I go upstairs.
So the connected community of service that Bob Lieberman spoke of is something that my niece and her family continue to need in their community. Her events and episodes have not stopped. Her behavior is unpredictable with huge mood swings. She and all the members of her family go to regular counseling sessions. Her medication is often adjusted or a new med is tried. She is now 17 and got her driver's license last summer. She has a boyfriend, does pretty well in school, and sometimes things appear to be going very well indeed.
A plus. 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 She can dance. Shines like a star. Our little girl.
Temper? Well, we have our battles. When she's good, she's very, very. So we're fine. Important to just be very, very fine. Plus, plus, plus.
Here's me. Suddenly not so cute. They didn't see what was cold inside waiting to spoil the party.
What's inside is mine. Guess at the rest. If they knew, they knew. They'd run from me in horror.
There are layers of me. A diamond, a dark jewel, a pile of rubble. I'll mine it. Pickaxe and razor.
Angel's like bleeding mystery. Break and flow. I'm alone on this river in me, drenched in mystery.
Vampire night. Prowl and panic. At dawn, shutters are drawn. You raise them. You tell me I won't burst into flames when the sun hits my skin. For the first time, I believe. I speak. I tell you what feels true to me. Never sure.
Beast is hungry. The angel's lonely. This sums it up for now. You listen. You cry with me.
And then, I tell you the ugliest part. Beast, ravaging angel, hot leather, storming the city, breathing foul, withering blossoms. I do not fight! I rage! I rage! And there is no war I do not see, as my freak voices scream.
Descend!
You listen. When I am finished, you softly say, look. Look at this gathering of angels. Angels not ravaged, but always gathering. Angels, you say, a lot tougher than they look. And you?
I told, and I did not die. I told someone, and saw something new. Maybe.
Aristotle once said, "No genius has ever existed without some touch of madness." What about bipolar disorder and creativity? A few excerpts from Francis Mondamore's book, Bipolar Disorder.
Is the presence of bipolar disorder higher in groups of accomplished artists than in the general population?
Perhaps changes in thinking patterns during hypomanic states are especially conducive to creative endeavor.
The flux and tension between mood states presents a kaleidoscope view of the world.
People with bipolar disorder may be drawn to creative endeavor out of a need to understand and heal themselves through the act and art of creation.
From the Unquiet Mind by Kay Redfield Jamison.
There is a particular kind of pain, elation, loneliness, terror involved in this kind of madness. When you're high, it's tremendous. There are the ideas and the feelings that come so fast and frequent, like shooting stars. There are interests found in uninteresting people. Sexuality is pervasive. The desire to seduce and be seduced is irresistible. Feelings of ease, power, financial omnipotence, elation pervade one's marrow. When I'm high, I couldn't worry about money if I tried. So I don't. The money will come from somewhere. I am entitled. God will provide. Shyness goes. The right words and gestures are just suddenly there. But somewhere, this changes. The fast ideas are far too fast, and there are far too many of them. Overwhelming confusion replaces clarity. Memory goes. Credit cards are disastrous. Personal checks worse. Humor and absorption on friends' faces are suddenly replaced by fear and concern. You are uncontrollable and enmeshed totally in the blackest caves of the mind. You didn't even know these caves were there. It will never end because madness carves its own reality. What did I do? Why? And most hauntingly, when will it happen again?
And from Diane Middlebrook's biography of the poet, Anne Sexton.
She saw herself inside a trap that she had woven and saw that trap as a refuge. Returning to the world removed the view in the storeroom of the mind, wherein sometimes one can see glitter among the ordinary waste of each day. Just before the end, when she chose suicide over what she suspected loomed ahead, permanent hospitalization, she still retained the ability to spill words into lines. Crucially missing, though, was the empowering urgency of a new artistic goal. One reason was her drinking. Alcohol was now Sexton's chief self-prescribed medication, taken morning, noon, and night. In combination with loneliness, it was lethal to her art. It deprived her of the little critic inside her head. She had the drunk's fluency, but not the artist's cunning.
Moving to the subject of suicide, again from Diane Middlebrook's biography of Anne Sexton.
Sexton once observed, after Sylvia Plath's suicide, Sylvia Plath had the suicide inside her, as I do, as many of us do. But if we're lucky, we don't get away with it, because something or someone forces us to live. To be or not? To be or not be? That is the question. Take arms against a sea of trouble and them. Opposing and them? And them.
Paris, 1994. Quand j'étais à l'homme, tout était beau comme Les yeux d'une nonne, un beau matin d'automne, puis elle faut à la pomme, donc s'additionne. Dans l'histoire de l'homme, les recherches de sérum. L'homme est comme un ange en danger, que les eaux du gange veulent changer. L'argent de ce morceau aura pour utilité d'aider de danger à ranger un ange en danger.
To die, sleep, sleep, and the heartache. To say we end the heartache, end the heartache. 'Tis a consummation devoutly to be wished.
Tu me dois d'être courtois, tu te demandes pourquoi, parce que ma cause est noble. Voilà, c'est grâce à l'héritage que l'homme singe devient l'homme sage. J'ai l'âge de 10 ans quand je demande à ma maman pourquoi tant de mal dans le monde des grands. C'était cool à l'époque avec mon short et mes potes. Désormais quand je suis grand je pense aux spots sur les capotes. J'espère que cela va changer. Un ange est en danger.
Sleep, a chance to dream.
There's the rub. But dreams may come in that sleep of death.
But dreams may come, let's give us pause.
After death, the undiscovered country, no traveler returns.
Other those we have.
Flying to others we know not of.
Currents turn awry and lose the name of action.
To be or not?
To be or not to be? That is the question.
That is the question.
To be or not to be? To be. Saved from suicide by fear of discovery or fear of death or even epiphany? Or not to be? Unfortunately, with bipolar disease, suicide is a reality. Suicide's one of those truths we wish could remain unsaid, but this is a time to speak of such things. What about bipolar disorder and suicide? Francine Gentile is quoted.
Statistics on suicide are hard to nail down. It is ranked 8th as a cause of death in the US. As many as 15 to 20% of people with bipolar disorder die as a result of suicide. Major depression accounts for 20 to 35% of suicide deaths.
From A Few Figs from Thistles by Edna St. Vincent Millay.
My candle burns at both ends. It will not last the night. But ah, my foes and oh, my friends, it gives a lovely light.
Bobby's Journal, January 12, 2005.
Joni died. She took pills, lay down by a creek, and died. We need a gusty, rainy night now. Wedged between fearing the trees will fall and dancing naked in the stinging elements. Howling wild at an unexpected glimpse of the full moon. I need to put aside the part where I sort this out and find God in it. Because right now, I just want to find some trouble. I want to rip the handle off the snow shovel and slide down the hill screaming, no! I want to fall into a pointless, stupid rage and forget to wipe my nose as the tears fall.
Joni and I were part of an improvisational comedy troupe called the Hamazons. There were 7 of us when we first got together in 1999. We did a lot of local performances and also added to the fun by going on the road a little. After Joni left the troupe, she went on to do her own work. Her last project was It's Never Too Late to Save the World. She sold her car and rode her bike, demonstrating her sincere commitment to the planet. We also did Amazon reunion shows and got together every so often just to catch up. Joni has been described as larger than life, a force of nature, the one who lit up the room the minute she entered it. She was all those things. She also was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. In the last months of her life, she became very fragile. She committed suicide on January 5th, 2005. This year, 2006, would have been Joni's 50th birthday. So the Amazons got together, Judy Dolmatch and our newest member, Eve Smythe, Carolyn Myers, Deb Elliott, Syl Stengel, and that's me on the left. We all got together to remember our dear friend.
Okay, so my passion is like a ham.
Another one of the original troupe, Sierra Faith, has since moved to Hawaii, so she wasn't with us. We know she was with us in spirit. The five of us went to the spot where Joni died. It was June 26th, lush summer. Difficult to imagine that cold January day when Joni came here to the Bear Creek Greenway.
When I first learned that Joni had died and Syl and I came down this path, I had some thought that it was in my mind for a long time until I came to peace with Joni's death a little bit more. And it was that, wouldn't it have been a magical twist of fate if I had been walking this way when she was walking that way?
But it didn't happen that way. Though many people who loved her would have wanted to be there for her, she came here alone and died. The spot along the creek was marked by a simple piece of ribbon. We came to celebrate Joni's birthday. And added something to her place by the creek, a classic emblem of Amazon glam, the feather boa. We also took a few minutes to talk about the aftermath of her suicide and share our thoughts about Joni.
Since Joni's suicide, in my life, I have several people close to me who've committed suicide. And I hold them not by intention, but as it happens. They're held in sort of a different part of my heart and my mind than a lot of the other people who have died who I've been very close to. I don't know exactly why that is, and I think of them very often. I wish this wasn't so in some ways, because during the years that I worked with at-risk teenagers, I always tried to downplay anything that seemed like the glamour of suicide, or that there could be any benefit. I worried that young people thought, oh, I'll commit suicide and then everyone will feel so bad and everyone will think about me all the time and they'll remember me. And I don't like that, because I feel that glamorizes that act that's so painful. But in fact, I have to say that I do think about Joni all the time. And it's painful and unsettling, and I'm both grateful, very grateful to have known her, and I miss her terribly, and I really wish she'd made another choice.
I think most of us thought of Joni as being larger than life, and just this huge, uncontainable spirit of energy and fire. When I think about Joni's life, especially the last year of her life, and her choice to end her life, I just feel that it was everything that she was, it was just too big to be contained in that little body. Just too much love and too much laughter and too much pain and too much sorrow to hold in that little space. So she had to find a way to expand, and she tried lots of earthly ways, and they didn't work for her.
I actually wasn't in town when Joni took her life. I was in Hawaii, and I got the news there. And because I wasn't here at that time, and I wasn't part of that memorial, huge memorial that followed, somehow her death has never really been quite real to me. And frankly, I kind of like it that way. Because I feel her essence a lot. Because she was larger than life, and anybody's life she touched, she entered into you, and so I feel her aliveness. And I still am sad that she isn't here with us. I mean, she was like the just in time with everything you needed person, and she just is still with me, and I'm inspired by her.
Came to the Amazons after Joni had left, but she was my entree into being an Amazon. I met Joni at a friend's house party, very low key, lots of children running around. We started talking, and she found out I was an improviser in the Bay Area, looking for my people. She said, "Oh, I know who your people are." She went and walked out and came back with a post-it that I actually still have. I realized in my daytime work that had the name of every Amazon and their phone numbers. And she was right. I found my people. Her heart was so big and so open. And I think it's probably true for a lot of artists in that they can empathize to a certain degree with being open to the world in a way to sort of channel this creativity that somehow lets not just all the joy and happiness in, but some of the pain in too. And sometimes it is hard to find a way to carry that, to balance that. So I miss her. I miss that I didn't get to know her better.
She's bold and big and wild, and for me, she just amped everything up. That everything was at 10 plus with her, and I think that she pushed me to be bigger than I was because of that. She was so troubled in her last months, and you know, who knows for how long, and probably the people who were very, very close to her know all of this, but for many of us, the person that we saw was the person that we loved, and the person that we wanted her to love us, and she was big and out there and always smiled and always had that deep laugh for us, and was a big celebration of life. And yet there was this other half of her that was so troubled and so dark that she made the choice that she did. I remember that I went to see Joni's one-woman show, her first one-woman show, autobiographical, and she was late. It was a one-woman show. We were all there, and she came in and her hair was all wet. And we were like just sitting there. Oh, this has to be part of the show. This has got to be 15 minutes. We were supposed to sit there and wait. And so she had videos, home movies that her tech guy was showing, and also videos of commercials she'd made for the local public access station where she dressed up wildly and interviewed to kind of keep us entertained. And so we watched them over and over, but we still thought it was part of the show. And then when she came in with wet hair, we still thought it was part of the show. But then she went to the dressing room, and she was, of course, in there forever because she had to get made up and get her hair dropped. And then she put her dress on stage. On stage! When it started. And then it was probably 8:30 by that time, and she's okay, now we'll do it. Yeah. And so, you know, I was just driving back from San Francisco recently, and all of a sudden, and it's probably like this for everyone who loses someone they die, I forget for a minute, and then I suddenly remember, I think I was listening to some song on the radio, and I don't know what, but all of a sudden she was so there, and I just started weeping again, you know, long time later and stuff, and I realized that because of that way she was, of showing up a little bit late and you never really knew, I think I have a really hard time believing that still won't happen. And I'm gifted by the magic of that, and it's helped me in my life some too to let myself off the hook when I'm not right on the money, but it's also painful because I keep thinking, okay, I've learned these lessons, I've seen these things, so come back now. So come back now, it's okay. Yeah.
Her memorial service was attended by at least 600 people. Something State Representative Peter Buckley said at the event stays in my mind. Speaking of the role of shamans in ancient cultures, people who were a unique mix of spiritual leader and incredible performer, and even outcast. Apparently, those who took on this role in their societies were people whose bodies and minds worked differently than everyone else's. People who were epileptics, people who had visions, people who were, for whatever reason, taken places no one else could go, and who saw things that no one else could quite see. Joni will be remembered in many ways, including a memorial garden being built on the land where Geppetto's Restaurant Farm is located, very near the place where Joni died. It rained while we were there. It had been so hot, and the rain cooled us and reminded us that Joni's love of nature brought her here to live her last moments.
In January of last year, a close friend of mine committed suicide.
When the word began to spread throughout our community, people were shocked, unbelieving. They called each other and asked, demanded, is it true? Eventually they had to come to accept that this beautiful, funny, intelligent, courageous, creative woman was dead. They would never see her radiant smile again, never hear her huge infectious laugh, never feel her shining presence. With that realization came the tears, the sadness, the profound sense of loss, the pain. Then came the anger.
On the day that turned out to be her last, she was taken to the emergency room. Her caretaker said that she had been talking about suicide all day. It seemed like an emergency to them. Her physician examined her, looked over her history, and then decided that she did not present a threat to herself or to anyone else. She was given a prescription, and she was discharged. No one was called. She just walked away.
A few days later, her body was found in a semi-remote location, curled up in the snow, dead from hypothermia and an overdose of prescription medication.
People felt that she had fallen through the cracks, that the system had let her down. They were angry that there was no one who was taking responsibility. People were angry and they wanted someone, anyone, to be held accountable. And yes, the system is broken. It is just one of many broken systems in our society. Healthcare, education, social services, politics, our economy. We live in a time of brokenness.
And so I ask, why are we so sick?
How many people do you know with chronic depression, bipolar disorder, social anxiety disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder?
How many people do you know who have been diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome?
How many people do you know who are living with cancer, leukemia, bone cancer, prostate cancer, breast cancer, brain cancer?
And so I ask again, why are we so sick?
Women especially are falling like flies in the dead of the summer. We are the proverbial canaries in the mine. I refuse to believe that the staggering statistics are purely a result of better diagnostic techniques and denser populations. Something is wrong. Something is very, very wrong.
We have polluted our environment to a point of critical toxicity. Our physical environment, air, water, soil, houses, and our mental and spiritual environments as well. We work in toxic settings. We live in toxic relationships. We are besieged by toxic information. We are a country at war, within and without.
Is it any wonder we're so sick?
Where do we go to restore ourselves to health, to ease our minds, to lift our souls, to nurture our bodies? How do we get off this roller coaster of mental, physical, and emotional disorders? Is there no place safe for us?
My friend didn't think so. For a long time, she thought she could change the world. That may have been a symptom of her mental illness, or not. Ultimately, she decided she couldn't change her life, much less the world. She longed for respite, for release from the relentless voices in her head, the ache in her heart, the sorrow in her soul.
We need to find a way to care for each other in a time of broken systems. We need to be living, breathing retreat centers, a place where people can come to heal their psychic wounds.
There's a Hasidic teaching. When a man is singing and cannot lift his voice, and another comes along, another who can lift his voice, then the second will be able to lift his voice also. That is the secret of the bond between spirits.
We have to sing for each other.
To speak for each other.
To stand for each other.
Therein lies the path to health.
Therein lies the safe haven.
The term suicide survivor is generally thought to mean somebody who has attempted suicide and wasn't successful in taking their life. Perhaps it is also should refer to those of us who are left behind when someone has been successful.
I want to tell you a story. It's about a man who lost his brother. His younger brother had committed suicide. And we'll pick up the story at a time when there's a gathering around the kind of things that we do as human beings, all friends and family and those connected come around to offer solace and comfort and condolence. And while that process was going on, the man was standing essentially by himself while everyone approached him and talked. And he suddenly just burst out and he said, "Shut up! All of you just shut up! You don't know what you're talking about. You offer comfort? There's no comfort here. My brother is gone. He committed suicide. He died of loneliness." How could he die of loneliness when I loved him so much? Why couldn't he call me? Why couldn't he ask? Why couldn't I help him? Why did I have to yell at him the last time we met? And he left me with such emotional IOUs. So just never mind, just shut up, shut up, shut up. Well, when he had finished that outburst, of course, people had left, turned their backs on him and had started walking away. And he was standing all alone now, except for one person, this elderly woman was standing just at his peripheral vision, and he knew she was there, but he couldn't bring himself to look directly at her. He was feeling now a little bit embarrassed, and he kept going like this. Finally she spoke and she said, "Young man, I have to tell you something." And he goes, "Yes, look, I'm sorry." She said, "Young man, I have to tell you something." And she put her hand on his forearm. And he just shrugged his shoulders and thought, well, okay. Maybe I can recapture some civility, just a modicum of civility if I listen. And she began to tell him, she said, "I have this little story I need to relate to you. About 10 years ago when I was 76, my husband had been gone for 3 years. God rest his soul. And I woke one night and there was an apparition, an insubstantial being at the end of my bed, a ghost. And it gave me quite a start, you know. And I said, "Who are you? What do you want?" And the ghost said, "I am the father of your pastor." "Pastor Richards?" I said. He said, "Yeah." When he was 9 years old, I committed suicide. I need a favor from you. Oh, my. What? And he said, I need you to tell him that you've seen me. I was lost, and now I'm okay. Just tell him that. She said, oh, well, yes, all right. Anyway, so the next morning, I couldn't, she tells the man, I couldn't go. I couldn't tell him. I wasn't even sure that I'd seen him, you know. I mean, so, after about a month, the ghost appeared again before me, and he said to me, you didn't do what I asked. I said, well, no, I couldn't. I mean, I was afraid that he'd think I was crazy. I mean, I thought I was crazy. Why do I have to do this? He said, he's been feeling ashamed and abandoned and angry for 20 years. I think that's enough, don't you? And I said, well, oh, goodness, yes. And then the ghost said to me, he said, forgiveness is what makes it all move forward. I need you to tell him. Well, why don't you just tell him yourself, I said. And then he said, I've tried, he can't hear me. Oh, couldn't you ask someone else? Why me? He says, because you can hear me. And so, the next morning, well, this was very difficult, but I screwed my courage up, and I went to the pastor. And saw him at his office in the church, and I just told him. I told him about the ghost, what he said. And he just clouded up, and he glowered at me. And he said, how did you hear about my father's suicide? Well, the ghost had told me something just in case he wouldn't believe it. And I was to ask him about Petey the puppet. And if he still had him, and did he play with him with his own son? And so I repeated that about Petey the puppet. And as soon as I said that, the pastor's mouth fell open, and his face kind of fell. And then his whole body, he just collapsed. He went right to his knees on the floor, and he began to cry. And these huge, gasping sobs. And I stood there, and I held on to him, and I just stood there until it was over. And then he thanked me, and we said goodbye. And we never spoke of that moment or that morning ever again. And I never saw the ghost again. And so, young man, that's what I have to tell you. And she turned to go, and the man looked at her and said, well, why did you tell me this? And she said, because you can hear me.
NAMI. Who are they and how can they help?
National Association for Mental Illness has an informative website and local chapters that offer support. There is value in knowing that you're not alone and in hearing how others' experiences have changed them. Caregivers, you need encouragement. Honest communication with those who have been there and know what you need.
When I went to a meeting, I met someone who had a family member with a similar diagnosis as my son's. I don't know how to explain it. We had a humor connection. Both of the people we were caring for were angry and unpredictable, which made normal situations in the home tense and sometimes exhausting. Anyway, at one of the meetings we were waiting for the program to start, and I asked her how things were going at home. She smiled. Oh, you know, we were just sitting around the dinner table a few minutes ago having our usual pleasant conversation. We both started to laugh. Who else would know that was funny? I felt hilarious in that moment, finding laughter in what had seemed so hard to bear. It was a transformation, a momentary restoration, a lifting. I had gone through every emotion since my son's bipolar diagnosis. But I hadn't laughed for a long time. And if I don't laugh, I'm in real trouble.
Other local organizations, faith communities, and clinics have support groups, respite care, inspiration for the tough times. We often resist that first step. Hey, we're tough. We can go it alone, figure it out ourselves. So whether you're experiencing the illness or you're a friend or family member, there is a helping hand, and maybe even someone to laugh with.
The poet. The poet Elise Levertov in the Boston Globe, October 1974. Anne Sexton's obituary. Anne Sexton's tragedy will not be without influence on other people's tragedies. We who are living must make clear, as she was not able to, the distinction between creativity and self-destruction. The confusion between the two has claimed way too many victims.
My friend Joni for many years was a light bearer. And at the end of this exploration, I find this light again, a torch passed. What remains and who she is now is light. What bears light in our journey? What brings us from the blinding shadows of fear, shame, and isolating self-sufficiency? It's being in life with all of its messiness. It's connecting with one another and accepting each other. There is no way to control outcomes. But when we connect with each other, this is valuable. A helping hand extended to the hand in need, and the courage to pick up the torch and carry on.